This is the last lecture out of the whole HKDI Inspire series. We're very fortunate to have had wonderful guests and wonderful speakers this whole week with us. So this last master lecture will be hosted by Michael Krohn from the Zurich University of Arts. He's been a product designer, product engineer, has been invested a lot of time and energy into researching and discussing about, or raising awareness. We've been talking about awareness a lot this week, about sustainability and the importance of it. So I think you know him very well by now, so I won't introduce him any further. Without further ado, Michael, I pass you the mic, but maybe if you have any questions, please feel free to WhatsApp me. I will be collecting them, and then we'll have a Q&A session after this. Yeah, right.
Okay. So again, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Henry, for the introduction. So my lecture is like the second lecture in this row. So probably for those who were not attending the first lecture, which was more or less an overarching discussion and presentation about sustainability. This time we go a bit deeper. Hope this works. Connected. I did it by hand. It's also not a problem. Oh, it's not working here, which is okay. Yeah, now it works. Okay, so this time it's oh, sorry, this is the wrong. Oh, I see there is. We are. Actually, we are here. So again. Now, okay, now it works. This time we talk about reduce, reuse, recycle, repair, and the circular economy. I just visited this marvelous exhibition in your center here, which actually, yeah, some of the topics I touch are well exhibited at the other side. So my only suggestion is that after this talk, or maybe later, you go have a look at the exhibition, which is highlighting this in another view with objects, etc. So this is a great combination, have this lecture here and have this exhibition here. So what is waste actually? What is waste? In earlier time, we're talking about, let's say, the Middle Ages. Waste was simply not existing. Every available natural source was valuable. Nothing was thrown away. And people try to get most out of it. May it be food, may it be soil, may it be wood. So there was a whole value chain or how you could use things, mainly from the nature. So that means if you look at this picture, that's from the Middle Age, from Hieronymus Bosch. So people lived, in their daily environment. So there was no waste, simply zero waste. Probably bones from food were left over, but even those were brought to another use. So what is waste? Waste actually appeared in the industrialization. So from the point where a craftsman put his unique object, which was handmade, which was all of the objects were unique. Every object was different to the other objects. Industry put this in another scale. So all pieces are the same. Massive increase of production, low prices, availability for everybody, reliable quality, and nice looking. So this is a factory. It's I guess it's a sewing machine. So they produce textiles in massive numbers. So this is the difference, and this is the start of waste, because the society produced more than they could use, actually. But the interesting thing is also how we went through. So in the 19th century, most of the world was the same agriculture society. So like 90% of the people lived from agriculture. Then we turned to a craft society, to industrial society, so-called knowledge society, information society. Today we are the creative society. So less and less people were in production or agriculture, but we produced more and more. That's simple because of technology, because of knowledge, and because we had the intelligence to make processes more and more efficient. So this was a class-based society. So either I'm a peasant or I'm probably a king, but we were divided in classes. Today we are individual society. So we are individual people, we dress differently, we have different housing. So we see ourselves as individuals. And this is the other part. Here we were a society of scarcity. So that means we had probably not enough to live or even enough to live. And now we are a consumer society. So this happened within, let's say, a little bit more than 100 years. And seeing that mankind was on the earth since like 10,000 years, this is a huge jump from this society to this society in a very, very short time. And that's one of the reasons why waste is something we have no cultural touch to waste. So waste is something which was not known before. So that means the industrialization brought a lot of good things. So we can have sneakers, we can have a car, we can have a computer, we can have an iPhone, etc. But it brought also a lot of waste. And this completely changed the value of objects. And I think that's the turning point for designers. Industrialization completely changed the value of objects and the purpose. And this is a very simple example. Why does a plastic cup become only old but never a valuable antique? Why? Because there are millions of them, millions of the same. If I have a cuckoo watch from the, let's say, 18th century, this is a valuable antique because there is only one of these. Here, there are millions. So our objects we produce in the industrialization are seldom antiques. So industrialization, is it good or bad? So at one side, we as designers, we have our living from industrialization, because if you're in textile industry, in fashion industry, in graphic industry, in industrial design, even in architecture, everything is based on the industrialization and technology. So the result of this is cheap labor, minimal standards all over the world, global markets, global brands, global labor, but also global waste. You see it in the exhibition very well, how far waste travels. It pushes enormous pressure on environment and society, and the global transport produce another pollution. So these are two pictures, a landfill, I guess it's somewhere in Asia, and this is the famous coast where they broke up ships. I think it's in near the Arabic coast. Thousands of people turned down ships into raw material. So again, is design part of the problem or the solution? So we have to be clear that design is a driver of consumption. We see many useless products ending after short lives on landfills. So that's because design produces the need of new products, maybe by function, maybe by style, maybe also by usability, whatever it might be. And I think as far as we live in the so-called liberal societies, in liberal systems, and not in communism, we will remain a consumer society. I think we have to accept that. Otherwise, design makes no sense if there is one leader who says what we should have at home. So we will remain a consumer society. It's simple, comfortable, and enjoyable. But the question is, what do we consume, in which quantities, and using what resources? And here, design may play a decisive role. That design can show options, how do it better. This is, I took this photo in my holidays. I mean, that's a small shop in United Kingdom. And even if in this small shop, you see here, you have a choice of many, many water kettles. I mean, they do all the same. They boil water. You have a huge choice of toasters. They do all the same. They do toasts. And so on and so on. Now you can ask, do I need 20 choices of water kettle, boilers, etc., etc.? But that's the basic of our society, that we have a choice. But the design of these is made by designers, and I think those have to take the responsibility of what is designed and what is it made from. There is a very interesting book, and I say every designer should have a look at that. It's not a lot of reading. Peter Menzel, a German photograph, went out in the 1980s all around the world, and he said to the people, take everything out you have from your house and put it in the garden. So that's in the USA, that's a family here. Mother, father, 2 kids, and that's all what they have. So this is the stuff they live with. And that's United States. And if you go, for example, to Samoa, it looks quite different. But now you can ask, are these people unhappy? Do they lack of something? I mean, they seem to be happy, even it's a greater family. They have cows, they have just a small hut, just not a lot of things. And I think this is also what we have to consider. So what is a happy life? Is a happy life depending on the number of products we have, the number of items we have in our household? Or is it something different that probably, we have objects longer instead of buying constantly new products? And this is actually the book. It's called Material World, A Global Family Portrait. It goes all over the world and shows what people have on our planet. So now we go a little bit deeper in the number, figures and facts of waste. So average, a person on our planet produces like 700 gram or 0.74 kilogram waste, but the range is quite huge. It ranges from 100 gram to 4.5 kilograms. And what is interesting, 60% of the world's population, that's like high-income countries generate about 34% of, or 680 million tons of the world's waste. So that means just few people produce a lot of waste. And this is an interesting map. So you see here, like here you are average, green or like yellowish, and here you are much over the average. And what you see is that the so-called first world countries are nearly all countries are over the average, while the global south is under the average. So that's a clear statement. The Western world, the industrialized world, produces a lot of waste. And this is another interesting map. These are the 50 biggest landfills, deposit sites on the world. And what is also here interesting, while this part here produces like most of the waste, the landfills are in the southern part. So we transport our waste to the southern part, And this leads to these pictures we all know, these dump sites in Nigeria, these dump sites in India, where we simply get rid of our waste and as we transport it to this global south. So there are only 3 dump sites in the western or in the northern hemisphere of our global planet. Yes, talking about what actually produces the waste. So these are the heroes of waste. We often forget that construction and building industry produces in terms of weight most of the waste. It's concrete, it's steel, it's isolation material, it's wood, etc. Then we have household goods, we have packaging, we have fashion, and we have food. Here, I just learned that here in Hong Kong, the amount or the percentage of food waste is much bigger, as example, in the in Europe, let's say, because we fertilize food at our home, or there are services provided by the community which are taking our food leftovers and making gas out of it or fertilizer out of it or whatever. So we have not 0%, but we have less, much less than here in Hong Kong. So that's also a question for designer. What are you doing with the waste? Later we go deeper in that topic. And also here we see a very diverse portion of waste countries are producing. I just took Germany and USA. It's you could also name other countries, but it's interesting that in Germany, a person produces 600 kilogram waste per year, while in the United States it's 800 kilogram. That's so far so good. Americans probably consume more products than we, but now the interesting thing is that in Germany, nearly 50% go to recycling, while in the United States, let's say 20% go to recycling. So it's much lower. So if you, and while they burn more, and here the interesting thing is, in Germany, only 5 kilograms of this waste go to landfill. From these 632 kilograms, only 5 kilograms go to landfill, 0 to illegal, while in the United States, nearly or more than half go to landfill. So that's also a proportion. That's a question, what are you making out of the waste? So how you treat waste. Accepting that there is waste, there comes the question, what are we doing with our leftovers? Maybe food, maybe products, maybe textiles, whatever. So that's known here in Hong Kong as well. I just learned on our marvelous tour. So this, bring back your material, and then we sort it, whatever material it might be. So we talked a lot about fashion, waste from fashion. And this is really consumerism behavior of each individual. 40% of all clothes are never worn. It's ridiculous. You buy trousers and you never wear it. 40% of clothes are never worn, or only 2 to 4 times. So that's ridiculous. And every year, 6.3 kilograms of clothes are given away per person. So we produce 6.3 kilogram waste of clothes we actually never wear. So directly, you may say, from the shop to the bin, with the stopover in our cloth hanger. And this then looks like that. This is in Nigeria, where people sort out textiles on these huge landfills and dump sites and try either to get the most out of it or to resell it. So this is the end of this huge export of waste into this global south. So now we come to the point where the designer comes in. Good design is sustainable, but great design is responsible. That means simple, we are responsible for that because we are, first of all, in the Western world, we are designer, we are part of the industrialization, and we are like driving this global consumerism with that what we produce, and especially that what we throw away. And this has to do with a technical, but also a designer development in the last 60 or 40 years. So take the Volkswagen Beetle. So it was in the 50s. It was also mass production. Millions were produced. All were the same. Industrialization. But these were built to run forever. They were easy to repair. Even today, you can repair a VW Beetle from the 50s. You will find all repair parts all over the world because there were so many, and they were non-customizable. So that means you buy one, and that's your car, and that's it. While this here is also mass-produced, all are the same. But this runs nearly for 2 years, depending on the use and the battery. You can't repair that, but it's customizable. So that means this product is much more tailor-made for you, but it runs very, very short in terms of, it's not the material, it's the usage and especially the part which are in the iPhone, like the battery, like the LCD, like the buttons, etc. And we just saw in the exhibition there is an iPhone which was found at the shore. So people throw away these iPhones. And this iPhone, compared to the price, let's take the price of a VW Beetle in the 50s. This is like 20% of the price of a car compared to today. So this means designers should ask probably some uncomfortable questions before we even go to the circular design process. Do we need this product really, or this fashion, or whatever it might be? Who needs it? Who owns it? Who uses it? What might be a benefit of that what I produce? Functional, emotional, economical. What is the impact that this product has to the life of us? It is safe to use and produce. What resources does it need? What might be the functional and aesthetical lifetime? This is interesting. The functional lifetime is when the object breaks, but the aesthetical lifetime is when we do not find it anymore pleasant for us. Has it a long life? Can it be repaired, reused, disassembled? And where does it go at the end? So these are the uncomfortable questions that designers, and not only designers, but also companies who are briefing designers for the next task should ask themselves. And from that point, we come to the so-called re-strategies. I think you know that. Refuse. So do not things which are already existing, like the 50 toaster we saw. So do we really need a new toaster which is exactly the same as the toaster before? Reduce. Use less natural resources, processes and material. Reuse. Long-living products can easily be reused by other persons. Remanufacture. Make parts usable after disassembly in other or same products. Repair. Design for easy repair, exchange, or easy disassembly by modularity. Refurbish. Update the functionality as long as possible. Recycle. Prepare for easy material separation for recycling. And recover. Recover energy when the product is brought out of use. And if you ask what is like the best and not the worst, but even good, refuse is simply the best. The doing not new products because there is simply no real intelligent need of that. And then we go to reduce, reuse, remanufacture. Recycle is good, but recycle already needs energy, it needs labor, and it needs some intelligence to do that. So in a scale, we come from refuse to recover, but even if we recycle or recover, then that's a good point. So we look at these keywords now, and especially focusing on the social and the economical impact of that. So first of all, we want to look a little bit closer to the probable social impact. I don't know if you have repair cafes here in Hong Kong. So repair cafes were introduced some years ago in Europe, probably also in United States. And repair cafes are interesting. There are sometimes elderly people which have the skills and the knowledge to repair things. And they open on Saturdays and Sundays, and you see it's a cafe here, you can drink a coffee, you can bring your broken hairdryer, your broken computer, your bicycle, and there are like experts which repair it for you. So that means they bring the product in a stage where you can use it again. And this is also a social activity. Huh? People talk with each other, they get known to other people, etc. Reuse, flea markets. Flea markets are great. If you have something, you don't use it anymore, or even if you don't like it anymore, you bring it to a flea market, or you open by yourself a stand and you start to sell your things. And also here, it's a social activity. You talk with people, you are bargaining about the price, you look at the product, and here every product is individual. There are not hundreds of the same. Every product or every item you bring to the flea market is individual. Or reuse, the sharing model. That means you share things in your neighborhood. I have luggage. This girl likes to go to holiday, so she borrows my luggage and then she went to holiday, and she gives it back to me after she has returned. All these activities have a social impact because you are talking with people, you are meeting people, you are talking about products, and it makes like the liaisons between persons stronger and stronger. So now we go and look a little bit more about these keywords, reuse. So what can I do with products or material which is used and normally lands on the landfill? So reuse means simple, I reuse something which is already existing. So this is just an example. You will find much more examples. So these are PET plastic bottles, and they build walls or dividers with that. Actually, PET bottles have a very good isolation value. So that means if you use it in construction site, because they are filled with air, you can isolate buildings. So we can make use of plastic bottles, and it looks quite interesting, quite good. This is another reuse of objects. So instead of buying new objects, you reuse it. So here this painting stick is used as a toilet roll, or here this shoes made from I don't know, packaging material. This is a very funny object. The reuse of a trolley of a shop, so it becomes a barbecue. But in a more, sorry, go back. In a more alternative way, here the use of plastic bottles to help children learn swim. This is in India. These are also PET bottles. So swimming helps. And these are, you see it in bars, old tons, old cans, which are used for plants. So actually, this is the exhibition. It's just so the canister, which is turned into a boombox. So that's reusing something. So not recycling, not repairing, just reusing it. Reduce is also interesting. So reduce the amount of objects or material you have. So that's a simple bag, like for everyday use, which is made of material, styrene, and simple rope. And here this, I don't know if you see it, but this this glosses legs of the parts which are behind the ears. So that's probably, it looks a little bit experimental, but it makes us thinking about how can we reduce things to the far end. And this is a can which probably had before, I don't know, food in it, and she uses that as a lady bag. This is also an interesting thing when it comes to repair. So the shoe at the upper end, this is done by parts which can be repaired, while Nike are never designed to repair. So if the Nike is broken or worn out, you have to throw it away. So that's a fact. And I guess we all know, nobody expects that I can bring my Nike to a shoemaker and the shoemaker, repairs it. That's the one side, but there is another side. The other side are the skills. So if I look at my hometown, like 30 years before, we had in every neighborhood, we had shoemakers, or people who are repairing my jeans, my clothes. But this is going away. So all these skills which are necessary to repair something, they simply vanish because nobody repairs again. And this is, this at the end leads to this throwaway culture. So even if I like to repair it, I do not find somebody who is able to repair it in a good way, in a professional way, with the skills which are needed, with the tools that are needed, etc. And I think this is something we lose with the throwaway culture, and especially with these cheap products, which are, I better throw it away and buy a new instead to look for somebody who can repair that. So design for easy repair is really a job for designers, so that we can reinvent the repair culture. So this is a research project from the UAL, where they simply designed household goods which are easy to repair, simple to repair. Modularity, exchangeability, repairability, that's on the front of easy repair. And then there are also aesthetics of a repair. If I repair something, it looks different. And I have to first accept that. It will look never the same if it's repaired. But then can we ask, does repairability have its own aesthetic, like language? This is, I think it's known, the kintsugi repair, where they repair broken plates with a golden, I don't know what it is actually, but with a golden repair kit. And after that, it could look better, or even look more individual. But also this here, suing your jeans because they are broken. This person who repairs that gives the denim an individual look. So then it's not anymore a mass product, it's an individual product because this person has repaired it. And this is some way or intelligent way to make things more individual than just buy it from the clothes hanger in the fashion shop. This probably you know, the Fairphone. So the Fairphone was actually made that we do not throw away our phones every 2 years, as said before. So it's designed for upgradability and easy repair. It's a modular design. It's easy to repair or to remanufacture and upgrade explicitly IT objects, which you can update the software, should be much easier to repair and to exchange, because the value is not the object itself, the value is the software in it. And so if you design it that you probably can exchange, here it is, the camera to a better camera for the next version, to a better screen, or is it, yeah, here, for the next version, to a better loudspeaker, etc., etc. I could go probably to a shop and I say, I like to have a better camera in my iPhone. And I pay, instead of the complete new iPhone, I just pay for the camera. And then I have updated my camera. And then what will it end? It will end in many, many iPhones which are all different because they are personalized. Because I say, I like to update this or exchange this or that. And this is also an economical chance, I guess. You might know the repair manifesto. It's also in the exhibition. So as designers, you design how things are. Easy for repair, modular. Repair is not the same as replace. What doesn't kill it makes it stronger. It's a creative challenge. It survives trends. It's to discover something. Repair also in good times, not only in bad time, because it's a cultural action. Repair things are unique things, as seen as in the jeans. Independent, so I don't need anybody, probably an expert, but I can repair my stuff by itself. And yeah, you can repair like everything. And France just in 2021, I guess, they have mandatory on household goods, so-called repair index. So they say, if a producer brings something on the market, they should give information about how easy it is to repair. And this is very important for the customer, because the customer then knows if I buy this product, it's easy to repair. And repair should be cheaper than replace. Next step is recycling material. So this we all know. PET material can turn into toys, or this is also from PET material. There are many uses of recycling. Recycling means you bring the material to another stage where it can be another product. Then this we have seen yesterday with Isabella, zero waste material. So material that does not have any waste, as this banana tex material, which produces bags or textiles. And this is, at least for my generation, this was like the first wake-up call. I mean, we all know these small plastic bags. In Hong Kong, you have to pay $1. Which is very, very clever that you have to pay for that. But in my age, in the 80s, this is German, says jute instead of plastic. So this was a political statement. Already then, people said, I'd like to go away from this throwaway culture, and I have something which is natural, which is handmade, and which lasts like for forever. So we see repairing, recycling is not something new. This is also interesting. This is, I guess, I'm not in that in depth, but it's one of the first houses that is completely built out of waste. It's in the UK. It's by BBM Architecture. It was climate friendly because all the things in the house are from other houses, from broken down other houses, and they collected it and produced like a new house out of it. So that's also an intelligent way to recycle material, because this is recycling, put it into smaller pieces and build out of that a new house. This is something different. This is actually a research project from my university where I was involved. It was a graduation work of students. This is a completely self-sufficient living container. That means this container, it's high-tech, but this container, I don't think they're used. This container produces all the resources for 2 people they need. They produce electricity, water, heat, gas, so all in this container. And it's an improvement that you can build something that needs 0% from the outside. So it's self-sufficient. That's the reason why it's called self. So yeah, transform the economy. I think you all know that. Use resources as long as possible and keep it in the circle. So no, before we have that, we take out material from the earth, and at the end, it ends as waste. Then this is recycling. We take it out, we make something, and we should recycle it as often as possible, but at the end, it's also waste. And this is the complete circle. This is the circular economy, where the material streams constantly go around this and probably never lands on the landfill. So, and again, it's what I said in my last lecture, design is decisive because design is at the far beginning. Production, distribution, consumption, collection, recover, and again, new material. And with the new material, I can design, produce, etc. And I can do this like endless. But going a little bit back in the history, the cradle-to-cradle principle was known already in the 90s. It says simply, it has 2 circles. It has a biological circle where products or materials stay in the nature, and it has a technical cycle where the material stays in the artificial cycle. So this was divided at that time. It was later a little bit brought together to like combine these 2 cycles, and at the end we are here. This is the circular economy. And why I personally think it's so important is because of that. Because the initial phase is always design. So we are at the beginning. We say, or we design the toaster, we design the kettles, and we are those who probably ask these critical questions I showed you before. Does it really need a new toaster? And what has this toaster? What purpose is this also for the society? But let's start here. And from here, once the design is made, then this comes logically afterwards. Production, distribution, reuse, collection, recycling. And the interesting point is, from here, the emissions are increasing. So the farther we go, the more energy we need, the more material we need, more labor we need. So the cycle is not only a cycle, it's also in terms of use of material
and resources, it's increasing the farther we go. So the best thing is, in the design phase, make the good decisions that these resources are used in a very intelligent way. So keep products and material in use as long as possible, regenerate the natural systems, and design out waste and pollution of whatever you do. It might be textiles, products, or whatever. And yesterday, Isabella was also talking about greenwashing. Here are two examples, because it's very simple to fall into this trap of greenwashing, especially as designers, because you're asked by your client to be paid for something which is not so good, but it should look green. So these are two examples. This is a house in Milano, the Bosco Verticale. So it has trees. It looks very green, but actually it's completely not green. It needs a lot of water. It needs a lot of fertilizer. It's not normal that trees grows on houses. Not normal. But it looks very green, you know? And everyone says, oh, that's an ecological house, but it's completely not. Completely, yeah, not fake, but a wrong attempt to make something ecological. And this is the same. This is a smaller scale. A shop is selling ecological products with this green decoration to tell that's green. Yeah, plastic. It's plastic. And this is designed by somebody. Yeah? This is not grown from nature. Somebody says it should look like that. So the next step is, or it's not the next step, but it's an alternative model, which I personally think it's very interesting. It's the so-called Doughnut Model. In the Doughnut Model, it's not like the circular economy, something which goes from A to Z. It's more something where you say, there is a space where we do too much harm out of this ring. That's the reason why it's called donut. Here we do harm to the environment, and here we have too less. Here shortfall, here overshoot. And you can estimate everything you do within this donut model. May it be housing, networks, energy, water, food, health. So here, overshoot, we do harm, and if we have too less, we fall short of that. And the idea is that we live within this donut, in this regenerative and distributive economy, safe and just space for humanity. And for the moment, it looks like that. So here we completely overshoot. Land conversion, biodiversity loss. But on the other hand, people have too less to eat. You know, that's not in balance. You can do this donut model for your city, for your neighborhood. So it's a very simple model. And the only thing is, do we live here within this donut? And you can estimate all aspects: social, gender, housing, networks, air pollution, etc. So living within the boundaries of this donut one, that might be the aim. And for us as designers, I think that's what we should always have in mind. We produce something, or our design produces something. It's purchased, and it's at the end it goes to the user. And this is just the economical stream. You know, here goes the money, but we should look at the holistic system, the nature, social, society, and not only be focusing on this one-way system where we produce it, we sell it, and at the end it goes to the user. So the holistic system around is very important. So I'm coming to the end. In a nutshell, so start design for a circular economy, balance user and producers' needs with great system awareness, that means system thinking instead of product thinking. Consider the social values, share, repair, and reuse. Use circular and safe material with social responsibility production. Reduce the resources for your designs. Moving from product to services, as I said, sharing, repairing, is ownership really necessary? So should you possess all a drilling machine, a dishwasher, etc. Design products that last as long as possible, physical and emotional. Reuse is always better than recycle because you don't need any energy to bring it in another stage. And repair is always better than litter. And modularity design helps to upgrade and easy exchange. So that was it. Thank you for your attention. This is our planet, and please help us that this planet looks not like this at the end.
Have a seat first, and we can open up the floor.
Sorry?
Have a
No,
seat.
I don't need it.
You sure? Maybe let's see if we have any questions. Yeah, Eddie.
Thank you very much for the sharing, and thank you also Isabella and Karine for the yesterday sharing. I think the 2-3 days have really given a very comprehensive viewpoint on how this thing can be, the idea of sustainability, how it impacts on designers, consumers, and also I think the perspective of the future cities, how we imagine there could be. I think what I've been trying to understand also to project being an educator in the school, I think it's very kind of precise idea of designing more precise and durable products and educate people to sort of consume less and think more and think about, I think, repairing and reusing. But I think one other kind of inconvenient problem that we have is also not just the industrialization of products, but also the industrialization of education. We, in the old days, I'm not that old, but in the earlier days, there were less schools, less designers, less, yes, more people are uneducated. Now we have definitely more sort of opportunity for education, but it also opens to the questions of, there are more people, more designers that we're literally producing every year from many schools. And how do we, balance the two while we're trying to ask everyone to use less and consume less? But at the same time, we're producing a lot more people who are producing these products or design products or things. So that is, I think, one of my questions. The second question that I have is to reflect on the way we teach nowadays. Things are becoming more and more digitalized, but looking at the logic of reusing, recycling, repairing, it requires a very kind of hands-on education methodology. So how do we balance the two? This is my second question. Thank you very much.
I mean, the answer of the first question is a little bit simple, but like as you said in the earlier days, referring to the earlier days, the north part of the globe was like gifted with design, and now at one part we have increasing people on this planet, so we are growing, population is growing, and the south part likes also to have design, what if it's intelligent or not, or whatever it might be. And I think there is an increasing demand because the south part is looking to the north part. We want to also have fancy cars. We want to also have fancy pencils, etc. And I guess that's one reason why this industry, high schools, universities are producing more and more designers. We see also, especially in Europe, we see that the production goes more to the southern part, not only to Asia, also to Latin America. And often, probably the development of things are done in the northern part, probably also the design, but not so often anymore. But more and more in the global south, we see companies which are producing things and designing things. And the sheer number is much bigger than let's say, in the northern part. So that's my expectation for that. And I think it's yeah, we have really to ask ourselves not only how many we educate, but also what do we learn then? Because designing for not so wealthy society as we are is something different, and we should go away.
That every consumer is seeing the northern globe as a role model for themselves, and this is really important. That somebody who studies design in China, in India, in Brazil, in Africa, Nigeria, I mean, they have a population of more than 100 million. They probably learn a different design that we learn, because our design is a Western-oriented, consumerist, industrialized design. So it's not the question of the numbers; it's more the question of what do they learn. And the other question was, you said the skills. How do we balance skills when it goes more and more digital? I always said schools like this needs workshop, needs hands-on work, because might it be graphic design, textile design, product design, even architecture lives from doing something with the hands. And I saw, especially in Europe, a lot of universities closed their workshops in the, let's say, 90s, early zero, because they said everything is digital in the future. They closed it down, but they lost, first of all, a lot of attraction to the students, because students want to do things with the hands. And at the other hand, you see, you won't never learn the same with a digital model than in a real world model. And it's not about technology, it's about what do I learn. And I think workshops and real model are highly important for every design school.
Thank you. I think we have another question from Michael.
Thank you, Michael. I think it's very inspiring lecture, and I think for the few days, sorry, we have discussed a lot on different problem now, and we try to have a different solution, not only designer or other people. What I'm thinking. Actually, as just like Eddie said, maybe 100 years ago, we are living in a more sustainable world. Mm. And even go back to the Stone Age, it's very sustainable. Yeah. Yeah. So they don't take metal from the earth, and so it seems it's a kind of something we go wrong at the past 100 years, maybe industrialization or something like that. And we want to go back or go to a right path. Maybe the path is wrong, but I'm just thinking why we go to that path, what we have now. Possibly more is on capitalism. So, and we have a more machine to produce things, mass production, and so so we have designer and others to make better thing for the human beings to enjoy. So you can walk less, you can be no sweat, and everything is more convenience. And also, I think there is argument is that so that produce works. So they have factory workers, we have more designer, and people buy things, and then we have more capital to produce more things, and then it become a never-ending cycle to produce more and more. So how we can we know this is the right path. How we can or maybe in your country or have any discussion on how to convince maybe the politician or even those people for those big company to, I don't know, produce less things, hire less people, or even for the country. So will they worry that if going in this the right path, they will have a lot of unemployment or this kind of stuff? Is there any argument on that, or anything that we can cross this barrier of turning back or moving back to the right path as before? Okay.
I mean, the crucial question is, who is we? We as designer, or I'm as an individual person. We are living in a system which is called, let's say, the Western liberal democratic consumerism society. So that's more or less who we are. We are not communists ruled by one party. We are also not ruled by Pope or the religion. So we are free. And let's go first to the individual. So you and me. So I can decide. Since I live in this liberal society, I can decide by myself. I can decide, do I need now really this new iPhone? So that's my own decision. I can say yes or no. If the next step is the society. If the society or the politicians or the government sees that there is an overshoot, they're starting to bring in rules, like the French government, who says we must more repair. So we bring in a law that says you have to indicate the repairability, or it's forbidden to use toxic material in the products. That's by law. So the government starts to regulate if there is an overshoot at one or the other side. That's then, let's say, the society or the government. And if we say we as designers, I mean, that's simple, a different education than before. It's what Eddie says. So what should we learn, the new designers? What skills should they have? I was a little bit surprised. We did this train-the-trainer session in the beginning. I was a bit surprised that there is not so much knowledge about sustainability here. But that's not I mean that's not offensive. I mean, it explains why this consumer society here in Hong Kong is very different than to ours, because we started to implement sustainability in our courses. Let's say not enough, but we already started. Looking back to my education, I was educated in the 80s as a designer, and my dream was to go to Porsche and design fancy race cars. If I ask any students in our school, do you like to go to Porsche? There is no one. They like to design for more sustainability. They're all like small Gretas, you know. They say, I like to do something for the better world. We have projects with social responsibility, with better environment, green recycling projects. So it shifted away, but that's not because we are telling them you have to be a different designer. They see the need. And this comes from, as we talked before, from the society. The society shifts the values away from, let's having a fancy car or a watch or whatever, to what does harm or not harm the society. And there the students start to think, what is my graduation project? Where should I dig in? What skills should I need? And we as educators, we should only make the playground for them. The skills, the knowledge, the workshop, the excursions, the projects we offer them. But at the far end, all of them have to develop individually. So they should ask, what do I want to design in my job when I graduate after this school? Do I want to go to a startup company, which is innovating recycling? Or do I want to go to H&M or to IKEA and be part of the system? That's individualism. That's the same as I decide if I buy the new iPhone or not.
Maybe it has to do with the societal influence as well, because this awareness comes not at a later age. I think in tertiary education, potentially it's too late. Maybe it should have started in, their primary or secondary school education. I think we have time for one more question. This question comes from online. Michael, in your own view, what's a major stumbling block for Hong Kong from becoming more circular? And what's the most effective solution?
Yeah, it's again, both sides. It's your government who should bring in clever laws, which makes circularity and recycling better. I just discussed with your principal, Mrs. Ong, yesterday. She asked me, do you do that in Switzerland or let's say in Europe? And I said, yeah. And she said, since when? And I said, can't remember, since I was a child. We always collected paper, we collect cardboard, we collect glass. In Switzerland, we have nearly 100% recycling of glass. We collect, in my own kitchen, I collect food leftovers. We do fertilizer out of that. But that's culture, it was not implemented by a law. It's just we do that because we think it's useful. She asked me, do you get money for that? No, it's the culture. We do that. And this is a transformation. Probably first there is a bit pressure from the government to do that, to avoid that, to give penalties for wrong behavior. But probably in the next step, people start to think, yeah, that's clever to not to put it on the landfill, but to reuse it, to bring it back to the shop, to sample it, to take it out of the street. Then the lorry takes the newspaper, the old newspaper, and we reuse it. That's the behavior. But the clever system behind that has to be designed, maybe service design, or maybe the shop we have been in our tour, nicely designed shop where I can bring back my stuff, where I'm even rewarded. But that's the start of changing behavior. And at the far end, I mean, every Hong Kong living person should ask herself, what do I need in my life? So do I need really this new dress, this new car, this new whatever, iPhone? So, and that's, this is depending on information. We should provide more information about resources. So if I buy this chair, what does this mean in terms of energy, in terms of material, in terms of recyclability, repairability, etc. That's the basic information.
Being more conscious about the implications of our actions. Yeah. Oh, more questions?
You said it's also about, behavior change and education. When, like you said, when we educate our children already how to behave, how to deal with rubbish or clothes or what they wish. I think we came from a poor background, and it's a little bit what I said yesterday about the progress, always thinking about progress, growth. We need to change our mindset. It needs time, but we need to be also aware of what education is very important to it, and that we actually as educator, we also have also as parents or whatsoever, we have this capability to empower young people. But as Michael said as well, we experience already in Europe that the young people already are asking for, you know, for really the skills and to do their part as well. And yeah, I think this is a very important thing, that we change our behavior.
May I
Yes, please.
yeah, add to that? I heard Mr. Wong when he said that there will be some sort of taxation or a bill coming up for the waste later. And I mean, in Switzerland, we don't get money for bringing the recycling. We pay for the recycling in a sense, like if, like in sense of taxes. We have very nice white garbage bag, which we buy at the store, and it has to be this one white bag. And yeah, so you have some sort of tax, and we were discussing that yesterday, that it is interesting because here we have a positive reward in a sense, and back home it's more a negative reward. And I don't know how you find it, but it's a saving, yeah. But in a sense that if a notch, if it hurts in the wallet, we say it like this: behavior, you change behavior if it hurts in the wallet. So if we can reduce the waste that goes inside the bag, we save money. So it's an economical factor. So maybe this is also something when we try to think, how can we save money? Maybe at one point we will start to think, how is my behavior saving the air, the water that I drink? So
consequently is economical in a sense. Yeah. I think this is a really good discussion, but sorry, I think time's up. Very good discussion. I think maybe we're talking about shifting mindsets, and being in education is really all about bringing that to the students and also to the next generation. So hopefully you guys have something to take away. It's really not just a discussion for educators, but for everyone. So thank you very much, Michael, for this wonderful master lecture and also the workshops. And of course, once again, thank you, Isabella and Karin, for hosting all these wonderful lectures and generating all these discussions for the school, for the students, and for everyone here. All right, thank you.
Thank you. And Henry, this is a small ring from Switzerland. Even it has a bag, it's white, but it's not a...
Thank you.